Steak, Mother Nature's ultimate treat for carnivores. Grilled perfection is achieved when glowing coals and smoke embrace the meat, infusing it with flavor, creating a Maillard reaction for the perfect charred crust and a perfectly rare inside, awakening the primal instincts of man to prepare his taste buds for battle.
What you just said doesn't even make any sense.
Yes, it does.
No, it actually doesn't.
It does.
It makes no sense.
This is us. Yep, the two idiots talking to the meat. This is a typical Saturday. Mark, Ryan, a grill, great food, and a lot of friends. We're a couple of ad guys who happen to be dads and love to cook, and our friends love our cooking. So we do a lot of it, and according to our audience, we're pretty good at it. We even get invited to be guest executive chefs in Los Angeles. And when our restaurant takeover started selling out in advance, we knew we had found what we wanted to do. Welcome to Dads on Grills. This show will allow us to share our passion for amateur badass backyard cooking. We're going to teach people real cooking methods, we'll test drive equipment, share restaurants that inspire great food, and we'll be honest with how we got there. The big wins and complete f***ups that led us to success.
Well, Peter, you might be the first person on this planet that has ever shut me up for this long. Good old Heraclitus, I tell you, that wild and crazy guy.
If I came to you and I gave you $10,000 for 20% of the company.
Deal.
Yeah.
So, is that a verbal?
Younger than us, sorry to say, Joseph.
What, younger than 20?
Joe, we're just trying to help you because clearly you've lost control of the conversation.
I never, you know what? With all due respect, I never had control of the situation. Doesn't mean I'm gone. What doesn't kill me makes you stronger.
Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're insane.
It is December 29th, and I am in the backyard waiting to grill, and I'm hanging out with one of my former colleagues at TBWA Chiat Day, Mr. Ryan Fey. It rolls off the tongue. Mr. Steve Garfield is here. He is watching on YouTube. Steve, today we're using Block, not Bubble. We're using Block on StreamYard. So I'm glad that you are watching on YouTube. Looks like everyone is moving over to YouTube, and that's the right place to be, until I'm on CNBC, or a man can dream. A man can dream. I hope you are well, because I hope you are ready to celebrate TikTok Day. It is National TikTok Day. And no, this is not the day to record your first board in the house and I'm in the house board, but it's actually a day that reminds us to complete any unfinished business that might need addressing before the end of the year. So I wonder if you have unfinished business. And if you do, today on National TikTok Day, maybe you can record a TikTok about it, but go ahead and finish it. Let's send some birthday greetings out. If you are a fellow Capricorn like me, like Jim Tobin or Evan Berger, Diane Lascaris, that's like a Hunt Lascaris, that's another connection back to TBWA, Stu Berman, or Paul McIntyre, Dennis Robb, Wesley Kleem on LinkedIn. Hope you guys are having a good day and that you're not bored in the house and in the house bored today, finishing those unfinished tasks that you need to do. So Ryan Fey in the house, Melanie Desiel tomorrow, and then on Thursday evening, we are doing New Year's Streamin' Eve. New Year's Streamin' Eve. Not New Year's Rockin' Eve, but New Year's Streamin' Eve. And if you want to actually be on the show, you can. Write down this address. Write that down, and you can actually call in and be on the show. I might need to do some vetting. For example, are you clothed? Very important vetting, quality control for the show. But I just thought it'd be nice between 10 and 12 to reminisce, to talk about silver linings, predictions, resolutions, and maybe reflect on the year that was. So if you got nothing better to do, or even if you do have something better to do, come and spend it not just with me, but let's spend it together and have a meaningful time as we usher in 2021. Well, today, the seated soliloquy is called food. Not just food, but food, glorious food. And if you thought that I was going to sing today, well, unfortunately, you would be right. Food, glorious food, we're anxious to try it. 3 banquets a day, our favorite diet. Just picture a great big steak, fried, roasted or stewed. Oh, food, magical food, wonderful food, marvelous food. We're going to stop there. These are words my guest today would appreciate for reasons you might not think. They're from Lionel Bart's musical Oliver. And I was actually in the musical in South Africa at the age of 15. I actually did sing those words. I've had a love-hate relationship with food since I was a circular ball as a child. I mean, they called me Joseph Jaffe, always in the cafe, chubby, rotund, portly. All the grannies and grandpas used to love pinching my cheeks. I say a love-hate relationship because I do love food, but I hate the fact that I just need to look at it to put on weight. That's why I've been holding back, restraining myself, and fat blogging in 2020. I know it's dark, but I often think about my death row meal. For the record, it contains a lot of South African boerewors, which loosely translates as the farmer's sausage. There are 2 types of people in this world, those that eat to live and those who live to eat. I'm the latter. No doubt Fey is too. This year, however, we've had to come to terms with a new phrase that we never really thought we'd be using in the United States of America, of all places, food insecurity. I'll never forget previous guest Kuda Biza saying that there were more food insecure people in the US before COVID than the total amount of people that actually live in Canada. As the days of the past decade and with it 2020 wane, I think I need to reassess my relationship with food. It's not an adversary, but a wonderful friend. One I need to always appreciate and never take for granted, kind of like how I view all of you. Whereas diet can be a challenge, there is a counterbalance, and that is exercise. In 2021, I hope to find the balance between both. The right mix for me that first and foremost delivers health and happiness. Life is just too short not to break bread and enjoy a juicy steak and good red wine with those we love. So cheers to you, l'chaim, to life. And now I won't be breaking bread, but I certainly will be toasting to an incredible journey and a wonderful, wonderful story that is Ryan Fey. Ryan has almost 20 years of experience in advertising, PR, content development, product development, entertainment, and company leadership. Ryan was the co-founder and chief brand officer of Omelette, a fiercely independent strategic and creative agency based in LA, where he spent 13 years breaking down the unnecessary barriers between client and agency while helming the shop to become one of the premier creative offerings in the industry. Ryan's vision from the beginning was, amongst other things, break some eggs, but do it in the most human and fun way possible. Before co-founding Omelette, Ryan spent time as the head of public relations at TBWA Chiat in North America, where we worked together. He is the co-host of the popular comedy culinary show, The Grill Dads, on Food Network. You can also catch him as a regular on NBC's The Today Show, the Howard Stern wrap-up show, and the Wendy Williams Show, to name a few. He currently has a creative consultancy that helps both agencies and brands with senior leadership and counsel. It's called Some Friends of Ours, or what I would call FOF, Friends of Fey. And he's here today. Let's welcome him on the show. Ryan Fey. Fey, welcome. Welcome back.
Food, glorious food.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta tell you, that was impressive, Joseph.
I was also in The King and I at the age of 30.
You were? Wow.
And that was on South Africa's version of Broadway. And I'll never forget, a couple of things were interesting. One is I dyed my hair permanently black because rather than have to do it and then wash it out. And then before we begin, we'd walk down, the boys would walk down basically in our underpants, and we would stand up like this, and they would spray us with a spray gun so that our skin turned into this beautiful olive gold color because we were from Siam. We were from Thailand. They would put a bun in our hair, a ton of makeup. And I remember two things as a 13-year-old kid. One was trying to learn for exams at the same time. And all my notes were just filled with this gold dust, this glittery gold dust. And I would get home and I would literally fall asleep in the shower. I mean, because I was only a kid. I was only 13, doing every other day. And my mother would basically in the shower have to wash me because I was out cold from exhaustion. But it was an amazing experience.
Man, I love it. I was in a lot of musicals too. I mean, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers was probably the one one of my most favorite. I played the lead role in that. It's because I had a deep voice. So they were like, get the guy with a deep voice. And I had facial hair at age 7. So not any head hair, but it's another story altogether. But man, it's impressive.
Well, listen, you are too kind. Stephen Rubin, unfortunately, says keep your day job. So
true.
And Cyrus says, does a mask count as clothing? No, Cyrus, you can be on the show. Cyrus was actually telling me that he was part of the MSN team responsible for the first actual live stream from Times Square back in the day. Tom Morris is here. He's watching on Facebook. And Bob Farnham says, looks like another great episode. Well,
just wait. We haven't even started yet.
How can it not be when guest number 180 is a man who just goes by the 3 letters Fey?
I'm like Sting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll keep you as Fey. So things that I learned about you, interesting things about you, is your musical, your love for music. Not just music, but even musicals. And I think you've always wanted to be in a barbershop quartet. So there you go, man. You and me.
We are ready to go. Are you the tenor, the soprano? What do you think? You're going to be the high voice? You're going to be the low voice?
I'm tenor 2, so I'm
tenor
just
2,
under the high, but I aspire to be a tenor 1.
Gotcha. All right. I'm a second bass, so I'll take the very low register.
So at the age of 16, you actually traveled Europe with a choir.
I did.
I mean, you really have been singing your whole life.
I have, and unfortunately for my parents, I've had a really fortunate time to be able, look, as a small town kid growing up in rural Ohio, the options were, let's say, limited in terms of people that appreciate musicals the same way I did. I had parents who used to take me to downtown Columbus, Ohio, to the Ohio Theater, and we used to go watch this stuff. And I'd come back and I want to talk about it and celebrate it. It's very difficult between football and crushing natty lights on your head in the cornfield. So
I have this weird image of you at the age of 15 or 16 with a full beard, avoiding being beaten up for singing show tunes. But it's
no, I was a tough kid. So I was a jockey kid. So I kind of held that in the background a little bit. I didn't let it out freely out until I moved to New York. But yeah, man, I got really fortunate. I made this all Ohio choir, and I got to go sing, some very classic Renaissance-based Latin type of songs, Ave Maria, and all this stuff, all throughout Europe. So I was able to go see Europe on other people's dime, because there's no way we could have afforded to have me go there. So that opened my entire world.
So I toured Australia with the Johannesburg Jewish Male Choir, 73 men going between Sydney, Melbourne.
That's incredible. Wow.
And I might have been the only Jew of these 73 males.
Oh, really?
Even
though it was a Jewish choir?
No, it was a Jewish choir, but I might have been the only person who happened to visit a certain house of ill repute in King's Cross in Sydney. I was lost.
Yeah, me too. The red light district, never even heard of it. Yeah,
I might have seen you there actually.
Yeah, totally.
But Ryan, one of the joys of this year and this show has been getting to know people that I actually knew or thought I knew, right? People that I worked with And it actually struck me like a ton of bricks one day, where I had a client who I would have called, I do call him a friend, but I didn't know anything about him. And so like, I've loved this of all things, of being able to find out. So for example, one of the things I found out about you is that you almost flunked out of college after your first quarter. Look at you now. Look at you now. I mean,
I just keep failing up.
and succeeding on being, to quote the great Fey, a dum-dum. But how did that experience shape you, or did it shape you, or did you just kind of cast it aside? And how did that factor into your journey?
Oh, well, it scared me shitless, first of all, because, I got into a great school, journalism school. I had everything going for me. I was a straight A student, salutatorian in my class. And then I discovered beer. And that's pretty much what happened. I got into college and the wheels just fell off because, I'd been a good kid. I'd done all this stuff. And my parents, I'm sure if my mom was calling in right now, she'd be like, well, let me actually tell you the story that really what happened.
Yeah, Mom, call in, Mom.
Yeah, she will. Don't worry. You don't want Cheryl on the show. Trust me, man. She'll take the rest of the time. But not only did that shape me, I had a professor who's since passed, really cool. He was actually a playwright and he was a comedic guy in New York. His name was Mel Helitzer. And he said, Faye, I got to tell you, man, you're so much better than this. You have one of two choices. You continue down this path of being the cool kind of thing that you think you should be, or you just dive in and do what I know you should do. And so that was it. It hit me. I never got another B. After that, I literally set myself off on the trajectory and got really serious about stuff. I had a blast, obviously, along the way. But man, no one will ever give you anything if you're not willing to work. I always say, and again, it's a great quote, but success sure looks a lot like hard work, and I think that stays true now throughout the rest of the time. I humbly work my ass off consistently, not just for myself, but for my family, especially for my 11-year-old daughter. So I'm very attuned to showing her what it means to be a good person.
I love that. It's not just, the adage of success is 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration, but there's another part of that story that is important, is that someone took the time, someone that you trusted and respected, to say, you're so much better than that, and gave you the choice. And as Yogi would have said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it, and you took it.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's a huge theme, right? If we think about what's happened this past year, the idea of what you just said, reconnecting with people that you knew, but you didn't know them. What a great opportunity. Now, I know silver lining comes later, but let's talk about that, is reconnecting and getting to actually know someone in their most vulnerable state. And it's a completely societal equal.
I can break the rules. I can ask you right now. Do you want to answer it now? And
I kind of do, actually. I like to skip ahead. The silver lining is the idea that you no longer have to have, there's no excuses at all to not reconnect with those you actually want to reconnect with. And what a gift it is to be able to have technology that lets us look at each other face to face in a way that, I know we all have Zoom fatigue. We all, trust me, we're doing it all the time. But, for me, the silver lining is being able to do things like this, or to hopefully be some type of a sounding board. I don't even like to think of myself as a mentor. I'm just a good listener. Like the thing my dad always said, when you love someone, the one gift you can give them is time. It's not monetary, it's not things and all this, but the gift you can give them is your time. So if you truly love someone and you truly want to get to know someone, give them your time. And my dad, he's a sage when he says that kind of stuff, because obviously when he's telling me this, he's giving me his time. So I've tried to do that. And that's why the silver lining for me is reconnecting, believe it or not, even with my daughter. It's like she's over here she's going to make her own lunch in a minute. So the idea of self-sufficiency and not having all the other things and people doing things for you consistently has been a gift through this as well.
I mean, it's so important. And this idea of no excuses. I love how you've almost taken the battle. It's stepping up and saying, wait a second, don't be passive about it, saying, oh, it was great to reconnect. Like, make the effort. One of the things that I did early on is anyone that I had any beef with, anything.
Yep.
I try to just go out and reestablish a connection. And in almost, I think in every single case, I have not regretted being able to go and repair a bridge that I burnt or that was burnt. And I'm grateful for that opportunity, truly.
Well, especially when and I love that you did that, because I've done very similar things too, especially during this time. But like the act of reaching out when there's nowhere to hide. I mean, I'm also more vulnerable than I've ever been because I'm not in a boardroom or a conference room or a fancy office. I'm in my home office. You can see stuff. There's a fan that I don't even like. Like, you know what I'm saying? There, your vulnerabilities. It's inside out now versus outside in. And so this to me has been the most transparent and true era, I think, of people, for good and for bad, by the way. You know, when you have time to reflect and think, some bad stuff sometimes comes out with people too, and that's fine as well. But at least you're being honest. You know, you're not trying to be something that you're not.
So certainly one of the common themes in this time has been this idea of people tell you who they are, believe them. And this came out in the show as well with, you know, it's been a common thread as well, which is this is a year where people revealed themselves. They couldn't hide. Sometimes they didn't want to hide. And at least there's been an opportunity where we get to see. It doesn't have to. I love the concept of inside out, right? But another way of thinking about that is the adage of the wolf in sheep's clothing or the sheep in wolf's clothing.
Sure.
In this case, we shed all our clothing. We kept on the mask, some of us, but we shed those, you know, those all of these clothes that we hid behind or hid under. By the way, Tom says when I see a guitar in the guest room, it's going to be a good episode. And then he adds, it's better to have a hang-up guitar than a guitar hang-up any day.
Totally agree with that.
So I like that. I like that. And Tom adds, he's commenting a lot. Wait until you meet him in the after show. He said, I love how Ryan is living his dad's best advice and passing it on to the rest of us. A real gift. You know, my dad died when I was 4 years old. I never had dad advice, but I hope, you know, if I have one wish, it is that my kids will, some of the stuff that they would roll their eyes, you know, not another life lesson, Dad, but some of the stuff will stick.
Absolutely.
Now, Ryan, I knew you at Chiat Day. You always had a big smile in your face. You always had a twinkle in your eye. You were so dynamic in what you did. You understood the power of thought leadership as a Trojan horse. You know, the way to generate prolific new business by opening up oneself to the outside world. But you leave and you go and start a company called Omelette. And it's just legendary, by the way. Break some eggs, Ryan Fey dash in. You know, who knew you had that level of butt cheek control?
Exactly. And for being an Irish kid with no butt, man, I was able to get the plane up there a little bit. You know, it worked out. I don't even know. You have no idea, Joseph, that my entire career, Photoshop has followed me. In other words, people think it's really, really funny to take my face or whatever and Photoshop it on everything. It's called Fey art. It's literally everywhere. So if you want to see some relics of this, like there's Fey the Pooh, Tropical Storm Fey. Yeah, you actually did it. You actually did what I'm talking about.
I farted?
Yeah, you did. You farted. You did. You have the Fey art. You nailed it. But yeah, it was crazy. What a insane thing. I got upset about I think in general the way corporate America was treating people. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And, you know, I was the guy that was the shill. I sold the ideas to, you know, to an endorsement instead of it being a first or second party, a third party endorsement. Wow, amazing. I can get someone that's in the press to talk about really good stuff here and make people famous. But as I found out, I really wanted to focus on the people aspect of our business. So that's why I started Omelette. With two other guys from Chiat, and wow, talk about some humble beginnings, man. 250 square feet, 3 computers, $200 and some in the bank. That's about it. Free bagels, though. That was good.
You know, the one thing, I'm sure you've had a Portuguese steak, but a Portuguese steak has a fried egg on top of the steak. Yep. So your two worlds were converging without you even realizing how close you were. But there were a couple of phrases that jumped out at me. One is this idea of being fiercely independent. A second is this notion of breaking eggs. And then the third one is, and this took me by a little by surprise, not because I didn't expect it, but just attaching it to this, which is that you've been invited to speak many times about human connection and the importance to the industry. So I would love for you to chat a little bit about this, a continuation of why you weren't happy with the status quo. Most entrepreneurs start what they do because, as I say, there are three types of startups, and it applies across the board. One, it was broken and I fixed it. Two, it was good and I made it great. Or three, a fucking cool idea. And any one of them applies. Any one of them is valid. You saw something that was broken and you fixed it, and then you attempted to make it better, and in doing so created that fucking cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I think, look, most entrepreneurs, I'd say all entrepreneurs have a streak of madness. They just have to do it. There's something inside them that says, I need to figure out how to fail largely. So, I mean, again, being an entrepreneur is not necessarily about success. It's about how much risk you can stomach. And that hopefully if you keep stomaching the risk, you'll get in the right spot to have some success. And that's been my experience throughout. But I think I was more pissed off. I may have started Omelette out of some angst, and just I did not understand why people's names turned into numbers on a spreadsheet when they have families and dogs and birthdays and real liability. I just didn't get it. And it's just not the way my brain works. And maybe it's because, I was born in a family of hugs. So, I was asked a lot of times, like, how can an agency leader be someone who cares enough? And I said, I always equated it back to, if you love someone and you truly give a shit, give them your time. So my job, I should have been the chief time officer of Omelette. And I got actually a lot of shit for this, by the way, for spending more time than I should have with employees, for spending more time with clients than I should have. I got flack from my own management team, and they would say, I think you're too close to the clients. I'm too close to the clients. I don't even know what that means. Too close to the clients. We're all spending each other's money every day. There's serious stuff there. It's not actually their money they're spending. They're spending the company's money. I'm actually spending my money. So it's very emotional and very intimate with me. I want to make sure it's spent in the right way so I can hire more people and give more people jobs. My dad always said too, again, I'm going to keep bringing up my father because he was such a huge influence and continues to be on my life. But I said, Dad, I don't know what I've done that's really good. My brother's a firefighter, like he saves lives. My mom's an artist and has helped, developmentally disabled people realize their vision and passion. And I sell the color blue all day, every day. And what does that mean? Well, he would say, but you've given people the ability to have a voice. And I always kind of took that back. I'm like, wow, you mean like, because I have this structure and this thing built, they now can have an opinion in a more meaningful way. And I always really respected that. The idea of like, I mostly enjoyed to give people jobs. And then a lot of times they would grow and leave. In fact, the best indication of success for me at Omelette was when they got so awesome and they got poached, which happens in our business all the time. But they come, literally heart in hand, be like, Fey, I love everything about this, but I'm like, you know what? I can't pay that salary. I just can't, because we are fiercely independent. So you know what? Go crush it. And do me a favor. When you want, come back. And it happened many times, by the way. And I'm very proud I'm very, very proud of that. Although I'm not with Omelette anymore, Omelette, I think the philosophy hopefully still holds, that they're growing people, not business. And then that's on both sides, by the way. We grow clients' careers and employees' careers.
Well, that always comes down to culture and how strong the culture is, and also humble beginnings. And, so often in our business right now, we look to the founders of a company. I mean, we should be, for better or for worse. People might talk about Sam Walton walking up and down the aisles and talking to customers, or we think about we were talking about employee onboarding with a company called Narrative last week, and the whole idea of, I remember David Ogilvy's VHS VCR video of him, hello from Chateau Ogilvy. But I fear that that we don't have those leaders anymore, those characters. We don't have the inspirational figureheads in our business. I think Omelette has that in you. Your legend and legacy will live on. Do you feel like that we are void of those leaders, or are there leaders out there that need to be celebrated? And if so, I'll have them on the show.
No, I mean, look, you're hitting on something that it's very important to evaluate and to think about. You know, the idea of like the sum of the parts is greater, right? So, you know, it's hard because you don't want to overshadow the potential thing, because the liability is that you leave for example, as an entrepreneur, as a leader. Now, does that mean a thing crumbles down, it's gone? No. You hopefully instill the philosophy and the culture and all that. But I couldn't agree more with you. You know, I've actually, you know, before, or even now, but, you know, I've been looking for the next place that can take my side hustle, this thing I've been built with, being this girl dad persona and having more data and relevance with a large audience of people, and understanding sales trends and understanding what moves people. By the way, if you can sell food to someone who can't taste it or smell it or touch it, and if I can sell that and evoke hunger, I'm a pretty damn good salesperson. And so that's what we've been working on really hard with our craft. But like, I agree with you. I don't know. I mean, I do believe there are some very prolific leaders that are in the business. Sometimes they become polarizing, which is the nature of leaders in general. But I'm still even looking for potentially the next thing that I can take all of my skill sets over all of these years and truly crush it. And that's just in general, just the struggle of an entrepreneur is it's not about one thing. It's about the idea of the whole. Like, as you keep moving. And I love to just keep creating and doing stuff. And I love to motivate people. That's my number one, I think, goal, is to help people realize what they already have in them.
It's interesting to me how you really are. I mean, there are many things I would use to describe you, but if I was challenged to only come up with one, I think the highest compliment, I would never call you host. I would never call you creator. I would call you entrepreneur. You truly are an entrepreneur. You understand the risk-return relationship, but there's another R that is even more important, and that is restless. You're restless. You're never going to just settle down and be complacent. No. You're always moving. That impatience, that is one of the unsung qualities and hero qualities of a great entrepreneur. Is there, and there's also a paranoia, right? Which is, what if the thing ends today?
Yeah.
Do I have my next plan? So it's amazing to see that growth in you. But let's talk about that for a second, because I love the branding. I love everything about the Grill Dads. And when I reached out to you, I was like, hey, do you have a video clip? And you're like, oh, not really. I'm like, screw that. I'm going to find a video clip and I'll edit it myself. But describe the genesis of the Grill Dads, and how this came into your life.
Well, I mean, it's so funny. If you don't put yourself out there, nothing will happen, right? If you don't just go for it and be true to yourself, there's nothing that will happen. And I'm a testament to that. My best friend, Mark, I've known him for 23 years at Omelette. He was working there as well at the time. And we were kind of creatively stifled because, when you get to a certain level in your trajectory, you hire such brilliant, smart people around you that they do the work, and you're there to help get resources and shepherd that thinking and all that. And I like to be creative. And as your point, I am incredibly restless. Like, I have insane ADHD. It's just been that way. I probably should have been diagnosed when I was a kid. We didn't have that term when I was growing up. So my parents were like, this kid just has to do everything. And it's never changed for me. So, my buddy Mark and I put together an idea. It was called Dads on Grills, which you saw, kind of the beginning. And it was just us trying to understand and find California barbecue. And it doesn't exist as a cuisine, as a designation. Like, there's Texas, there's, all sorts of different types of barbecue, but California style barbecue actually is Santa Maria dry rub tri-tip. And it has very much has Mexican influence. And I wanted to define the cuisine as an actual barbecue cuisine, and then be the guys that found it. And we did it as an experiment just to see if we could crowdfund it. So we put it up on Kickstarter. It was funded in 12 hours. And we were like, oh my God, people like really do want to see this. And, you know, we're fairly, I mean, moderately amusing maybe. Mark plays the straight guy. I play me, which is the funny guy, I suppose, or at least the butt of the jokes. And we were literally in my backyard having some drinks, and Mark sent it to Mark Summers. Mark Summers is the host of Double Dare for years and years on Nickelodeon. And he got back to us in 10 minutes. He said, this is one of the funniest fucking things I have ever seen. Are you guys chefs? We're like, no. Do you guys own restaurants? We're like, no. Are you guys in catering? We're like, no. He's like, we're ad guys. He's like, ad guys? And we're like, yep. And he said, well, I sent it to my buddy, Guy Fieri, and he wants to meet you. And we were like, Guy Fieri? You mean the guy from Triple D that with the flames and the hair and the, you know, all that guy? Like, yeah. So he flew us up. He said, I want to talk about my show called Guys Big Project. We'll talk about yours later. We said, thank you so much. We're not interested. And he said, what? So yeah, we don't need anyone else to make fun of us. You know, we're early 40s guys that already have a following of jokesters around us, and said we don't want to be reality television stars. Well, after about a month, he called us back, said, I think there is no duo comedy team in food. I think you guys would do really well. So we decided to go on the show. And I'll just give you one quick story, Joseph, if that's okay. But we were kind of the guy, we made a pact, Mark and I, and we said, our goal is to make the entire production team like us, because we don't think we have a shot in hell at winning this reality competition show. And the show was actually to find the next host of a show, right? We're like, well, we're not chefs, we're not cooks. We're going up against these bloggers and all these other people and restaurant owners and all this. And we're like, it's just Mark and Fey. We're like, oh my gosh. But Mark would download a fart app on his phone, and everyone had a hot mic, right? Because we were wired up all day. And he'd be like, excuse me, could I get 10-1? And, you know, 10-1's, to go pee, right, in production. So Mark would go into the bathroom, fully mic'd up, and I knew exactly what was going on. He'd hit the fart app right next to the mic. And you just see the entire production team lose their minds. And we became the jokesters really quick. And as a result, people started to pull for us a little bit. And we got, we didn't take ourselves too seriously. We're like, dude, this is going to be the best dad vacation. We're just going to have a blast. There's no fucking way we're winning. Fast forward 8 weeks, we win the show. And as a result, we got our first season called The Grill Dads, which was 10 episodes. And that was actually, they bought 10 episodes before we even turned on a camera, which hadn't been done before for newbies. Typically, you get a pilot and all this stuff. And then we had season 2, which is called Comfort Food Tour. And since then, we've been on 5 or 6, 7 times with Guys Grocery Games, Beat Bobby Flay. We have done a couple other shows as guest hosts and judges and we have a few shows in development right now that we've been working.
It's just incredible, and
bizarre.
I was trying to like deconstruct it, and there is so much in there in terms of being true to yourself, in terms of not taking yourself too seriously, but also you picked a lane, and that lane was the most bizarre, ridiculous lane as well. And I wonder though, how much, when you look back now, how much of this success and this fantastic story, it's a beautiful story, it's like a fairy tale, and with a happy ending, and that's awesome. How much of it was planned and deliberate and strategic versus just happenstance, serendipity, and let the chips go where they may?
So it's a great question. The premeditated part of it is that Mark and I wanted to make a brand, period. Now, we uncovered that Dads on Grills, if you say it incorrectly or slur it a little bit, it sounds bad, and it could sound like something else. So we decided to get rid of that name and make it the Grill Dads proper. We very much wanted to create a brand that we can then have as a sustainable piece of our culture and lifestyle. And the reason why is because dads are portrayed so terribly in the media that we want to change it. If I see another commercial where the wife says, honey, could you go get me a turnip from the store? And he looks confused and grabs the car keys and then comes back 2 hours later and he's holding an avocado. Like, it actually makes me insane how stupid dads are portrayed. It's socks and sandals. They only can grill burgers and dogs, right? So thing is people associate because what we look like with barbecue. Barbecue is a cuisine. A grill is a tool. Those are two very different things. A grill is closer to an oven than it is to a brisket. Okay. So if we look at that, what the modern dad is not a dope. He's not Don Draper. He doesn't come home and he doesn't go golf for 8 hours just to make sure he can get, his licks in, have a cigar, scotch, goes to bed, wakes up, has the side, does the thing. Mark and I cook, we clean. We are on the PTA. We do pay some bills. We are feminists. We're advocates for our community. We do hard work. We do charity work. We don't just send money. We get our hands dirty. We are into fashion. We know the difference between a good hoodie and a flex foot hat. These types of things are almost lost on the culture, especially when you throw in that dad only likes beer and neckties. And that stuff just infuriates us.
And there's one more thing.
Go.
Which is beer.
This definitely does not help my situation. However, I am a modern dad, and who says that my beard makes me Duck Dynasty? It doesn't. I don't have to be in the next episode of Sons of Anarchy. I don't need to be a B character in Game of Thrones, although that would be pretty sweet. I just feel that they can be educated. They can be thoughtful and meaningful and intimate and emotional, and they can get welled up when they go watch Hamilton. They can get welled up when they watch a commercial about a dad with a daughter who gets to take her to Disney for the first time. Come on.
The irony, of course, which is it's a magnificent irony, which works, which is you came from a business that specialized in generalization and stereotyping.
I know.
And the other thing, and I always say this to people, is there are two ways for you to figure out what path to take and what you want to be when you grow up. One is to follow the love, the passion, to be attracted. It's the pull. But the equal and opposite, which is just as powerful, is the push. Is sometimes you have to push off. And it seems like that was a huge part of your life, the pushing away from what you didn't love about the world to make it more beautiful and find that beauty. And in this case, even grill dads, it was you pushed away from the stereotypes of how males and particular dads were treated, plus of course a love for food. I think it works even better when there's a push and a pull working together.
No, that's a really great point. I think when those two forces align, there's actually very little resistance to how far you can go. Right. I think it's a really good comment that you made about the push and the pull. And you're right. I have been pushed so hard because of outside factors, but you know what? The reality is I'm also the one pulling myself at the same time. I know I am. And I just, there's not enough love. And if food evokes the same endorphins, right, as love does, then those things are symbiotic to me. All right. So when all these feelings and chemically, biologically, physiology, the stuff that goes off in your body is the same as getting a hug. And so, I did a big South by Southwest thing about the power of the hug. It was a session called Leading with Love. And, and I got a lot of flack for it. And by the way, great. It causes debate, but I tend to live my life with the context being pure of the power of a hug and just how much that your blood pressure regulates, your heart, your circulovascular, your system seem to kind of come into tune more. And it's just that simple gesture of intimacy.
Why did you get flack for it, by the way?
Well, because, think about a leader or owner hugging employees. It's like something that is, I guess, was more taboo, although it was never out of, it's always about the context for me in which you do that. So, I think the era is different, obviously, but, the idea of someone being uncomfortable, you have to be in tune with yourself and in tune with other people before, you can go. You don't ever want to force anything on someone or force some type of affection. But that's why I bring it back to time. Just having the ability to have time and give someone time is the most powerful tool that we have. Isn't it amazing, Joseph, when we were starting early in our careers and someone even wrote us back? They gave us, whether it was an email, whatever it was, looking for a job. Someone took the time to say, even, hey, thanks so much. We're not currently hiring. but good luck. Even that made me want to go forward and find another opportunity. It's the void of time that pushes us down so far. The smallest act makes the biggest impact.
It's so funny because I was actually looking at quotes, because I always come up with quotes in the episode. I came up with two for you. One was a real quote, and the other one I'm calling a fake quote. It's not really a fake quote, a real
a fable.
But
calling it a fable?
Well, no. Well, this is not the quote that I would associate with you. I updated my grilling app, iGrill, and it now has Facebook integration that lets you see what other people are grilling. Awesome. Who do you think said that?
I have no idea.
That was Mark Zuckerberg. You know, that is not the quote. This is your quote. Grilling takes the formality out of entertaining. Everyone wants to get involved.
That's so true.
And that was someone, I'm not sure if you beat him or not, but that's Bobby Flay.
Yep. No, we didn't compete. We judged. So they won't let us compete necessarily. They're scared if the grill dads might bring the pain, you know, and just wreck up on all the.
Oh, I feel like that was a challenge. Hey, Bobby, if you want to come on and, you know, and respond to
Mark and I, he would kill us. He would kill Mark. I mean, it wouldn't even be funny. Yeah. He'd be like, you guys are cute.
So I have to say, I mean, we've got some amazing comments that I just wanted to share. Tom said, I see Plato, not Duck Dynasty or Sons of Anarchy. Let's call it Sons of Wisdom. And then there are a bunch of people here that you know. Let's see. From earlier, Mike Temple said amen to that, Faye. And Adam John is here from puns like Omelette got poached to some more profound things that he's saying. He's definitely been commenting as well. For example, what I hear, have fun and be yourself, which is a great lesson. Bob Farnham says, too bad is not passionate. So, you know, the one thing that I've always struggled with Faye is that he wasn't passionate enough.
Right.
And then there were a few like little questions that came out. By the way, Carla says, I completely believe in the power of a hug. It's one of the things I'm missing the most right now. Maybe, you know, listen, we know we're living in a world where physical touch and contact has taken on very sensitive context, but maybe we can reclaim the good hug, the hug that has love. And
it's all context, isn't it? I mean, literally it's all context and how you apply a hug. Like, it's funny, we even have to talk about it, but when I grew up in my family, the thing you did when you walked in the door is you gave your mom and dad a hug. It's that simple. And you know, you gave your brother a hug. You know, you gave your best friend a hug. Carla's so right. If anything it's taught us is the silver lining is how huggy when we're out of this, everyone's going to be. I mean, you're going to get hugged by strangers walking around, and you're going to be fine with that because you know what? We've all missed it a lot. It's amazing how much.
I would actually like to propose that in our LinkedIn bios, etc., we can say our personal pronouns, you know, he, him, his, but
available for hug.
But also if we're hug or no hug. So
I think it's great.
So we should do that. We literally should do that. We should say,
Done. I'll start with you and I will start it.
Yeah, I am huggable and I will hug. We could be specific, like I will hug, but I don't want to be hugged. Or we can just keep it simple, stupid, and say, hug me, damn it. Give me a good old bear hug.
There's a great, exactly. And by the way, I'm a good Midwest hugger, right? Got big arms. I like to get in there. But there was a great experiment that was done. I can't remember what it was. I believe it was in France. There was a sign of someone said free hugs, and they just put it on, walked around the subway. Have you seen that? And do you know how many people just came up and hugged a stranger? What a beautiful, I mean, we are a different type of animal. The reason we've evolved to where we are, yes, we still have gill slits. We absolutely came from the water, for sure. However, we've evolved to a state where an emotional connection is actually the thing that makes us, I think, very, very different from a lot of other creatures that are in the world.
That's right. We can either be a no hug or a hug okay as well. So
Adam's on it.
I think that's great. By the way, I almost was rooms. Philip Robertson said, ask him about MCG Tech and pancakes on a morning show. Say hi from.
Wow. God, I haven't thought of that forever.
And Steve Garfield says, my mom, his mom's name is Millie, 95, says, I think there's a slight typo, but it says, I guess it's, if you don't put yourself out there, nothing happens. I guess that would be the quote. It's amazing all the things that are coming. Carla says, perhaps a spin on the show, The Good Place, there's a market for the good hug.
Carla's right.
Amazing just the conversation that we can have. And the reason why I put those quotes together is the power of food, the power of cooking, the power of grilling, the power of what we really are talking about is bringing people together. And how much we miss that the physical contact and being able to break bread and just celebrate each other and not take each other for granted as well.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't see someone who's just standing around the oven cracking a beer and like just waiting to open the door. That's the difference between an oven and a grill. You go outside. By the way, grills are outside. You're already in an environment that absolutely evokes community, period. Because I'm not standing inside my kitchen, right? And what we love, here, I'll give you a really funny story. This is what I think about grills, okay? I said grills are a tool, barbecues and cuisines, very important. I remember when we were on the Today Show, maybe the second or third time we were on there, and Carson Daly, who's become a friend of ours, and he's just he's a big griller. He uses a big green egg. Is a very good cook. He knows what he's doing. And we show up. He goes, well, what do you got for me today, boys? And I said, actually, we're going to make a lovely grilled peach salad with burrata cheese and edible flowers. And he looked at me and he said, excuse me? I said, no, we're not just going to put a hunk of meat on the grill, man. We make salads and desserts and pies and cakes, and we smoke drinks and all this. And he goes, guys, you're the grill dads. Like, the Harleys are parked outside. Come on, show me the old 96er. When are you going to throw it on the grill? I said, no, we're going to make a lovely grilled peach salad with some edible flowers. I'm going to make this beautiful mustard dressing that I have. And it's so funny, the misconception that people have of grilling. No matter what, though, to get back to community, whether it's a grilled peach salad, the old 96er, you're still going to want to huddle around it, have a nice crisp beer, be outside and talk with your crew. I mean, that's universal.
Okay, so there are many questions, follow-up questions. First of all, that bit, he clearly wasn't in on the bit. Was his production team in on the bit? Yeah. And were you invited back to the show after that?
5, 6, man, we're regulars on the Today Show now. We are the go-to tailgating and grilling guys, and a lot of times, the crew likes us because we don't just do ribs and we don't just do burgers. So we do different stuff. Yeah, they love us for that. We show people how to use it differently. And
the I fought, and it's not the I grill, but the I fought as well.
Exactly.
I Faye, what I love about just even thinking about the conversation is there's still a role and a place for surprise and delight in our world. There's still the more open and open-minded we are, the more we can still inject that the childishness, the fun, the ability not to take ourselves so seriously. Our lives are so intense right now, and you've brought yourself, your unique flavor, your personality to the world, and in the form of of the Grill Dads. I look at you and I just think to myself, but this is what he was meant to do. This is where he was meant to be. I can't even imagine you now anywhere else, although you will move on to the next thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't. The thing that I always thank you for all of that's very nice to hear. I sometimes just like wonder how people can be something they're not. I can't clock it. I don't have that DNA, unfortunately. So I mean, I wish I could be a better spy, but I'm not. And I'm not really an actor. I play myself, which is exactly what I should be doing. But again, it's no matter what business, no matter, like for example, when my consultancy I have, which is called Some Friends of Ours, a lot of times that I'm actually hired to help oversee creative teams as kind of the lead creative, or help with some senior management positioning, or try and actually break down marketing bullshit and make it palatable, and so people can actually understand what you're saying. So it's the lack of buzzwords actually is maybe what I bring to the equation. I'm like, well, if that's what you want to say, why don't you just say it? Like, you don't need to go to the thesaurus. If your words have a lot of 4 letters, that's fine. Just say it. And you know what? Then you don't have to defend what you don't understand. So just say what you think. And teaching people just to say what they feel has been something I've actually just innately been involved with my entire career. It's not stopping now.
I think we've set up maybe a new that I wanted to delete that because I wanted to put in this for you, which is not just do it, but just say it.
Say it.
A new hashtag. Yeah, just say it. Just say what's on your mind. Say what you feel. Don't be afraid to put it out there as you have. Ryan, I'm glad you brought up some friends of ours, because once again, I think you've done it again. And now I'm trying to emulate Howard Stern when he goes, "You've said it all, you've done it all, you've done it again." But you've created this network. We look at all these collectives, right? With Time Montague, there's so many people putting together these great groups and cooperatives. But what makes yours special? You're only working with people that you know. So you've almost actually doubled down on the idea of nepotism, but in a good way, saying, no, this is not cronyism. This is about actually saying life is short. Let's love the people we work with. Let's work with the people we love.
Right.
Let's work with the people we trust who have delivered for us, who would go to war to bat for us. And let's spread the love between a group of people. The definition of community, I said it on yesterday's show, a group of strangers who care about each other a little bit more than they should. But this is more than that, because these aren't strangers, and these are people that genuinely do care about each other.
I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, you look at the just as an example, President-elect Biden's putting together his cabinet. The majority of those people he's worked with in the past. And if you really kind of think about it, it's like, why wouldn't you? The devil is the phrase, and people have idiosyncrasies and things. And by the way, I have a shorthand immediately with someone I've already worked with, and there is no selling. It is, I got this thing. You're perfect for it. Are you available? What does it cost? And I don't haggle. We're not trying. Here's my budget. Here's what I got. And by the way, I do that with the clients. So when the clients call me, for example, whether it's Highlands or SodaStream or other brands, they come to me and they say, "Hey, Fey, this is the assignment." I say, "Great, here's who I got." And we sit down together as a team, an actual team, and say, "Who do we want to bring in for this job? Here's this person that's this. I know all these people." I mean, look, the benefit of being a guy who's 45 years old in the industry is I've seen and worked with a lot of people. And I haven't burned a ton of bridges. I absolutely have burned some bridges, but I've tried to make amends too. But it's never been out of malice. It's always been out of the business. So I'm building a creative partnership of people that trust me, know me, love me, and want to work together. And it's that simple. It doesn't need to be headier than that. And the clients need to cease being just clients and in the same trench I'm in. And we can develop who does what. And it's working incredibly well. And I'm very fortunate that my co-host Mark, who's also, as you know, worked at Omelette as an incredible producer, also a creative, and then my former chief creative officer of Omelette, Sarah Cathcart, who's also married to Mark. That's the three of us have started this thing, and it's just a breath of fresh air. And by the way, we don't hold any overhead. So you get 3 senior people and then whoever else we bring in.
It strikes me that everything in life is a choice, and every single thing can be interpreted positively or negatively, can be seen optimistically or pessimistically. The idea of working with people you know and like and trust and love, and aren't afraid to hug, it can be seen as nepotism, or it can be seen as the opposite, which is a beautiful family. And I think maybe if there's a takeaway today, it is that takeaway, which is you can choose how you perceive and how you react to and how you internalize absolutely everything in your life. But remember, above all, the one thing that we cannot get back is time. And this has been time well spent. I would be remiss, and I've posted those comments already below, the links. if I didn't tell you that it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for you guys to get on the spice train, because I got to try me some of the spice. You're selling spice. Tell me what else you want to promote, Ryan, because I will be your mouthpiece today.
I mean, thank you very much. I mean, look, if people are into cooking, as 2020 is really given a voice to the home chef, Mark and I spent a very, very long time developing our first products with the Girl Dads, and it's 3 spice rubs and 3 brines, dry brines. And dry brining is a very, very interesting and fun thing that denatures protein and brings some science into the equation. But we are extremely fortunate to have these with Spiceology, and honestly, they're crushing it. So you get them on Amazon or Spiceology.com. But and we have a text. You can sign up for our text message, and you can ask us questions at any time, and we actually answer. And then, follow us on Instagram, just because we've got a lot of fun recipes and different ways of doing things. And hopefully we bring a little bit of levity to your day. That's pretty much it.
No doubt. And also, you have a terrific podcast, of course, called Bone In. And clearly you don't, you haven't had any, celebrities or interesting people on.
Yeah.
This must be a real trip just to host the show.
It's ridiculous. It's Mark and I getting to talk to people on a level that has nothing to do with business. It's really about them. I mean, it's very, Joseph, you're crushing it with Corona TV. I mean, it's a format that, we ask some speed round questions, the same stuff to each person. And, we're very fortunate to have people like Eva Longoria come on, and Rutledge Wood. And in our first season, we had a beautiful array of people, a lot of which were in food. We're focusing a little bit more on people that love food and cooking at home, and regardless if they're in the business of food. That's kind of what we're focusing on. We have some really fun guests upcoming too. I won't spoil the surprise. We have got some good ones coming up as well.
Subscribe to the podcast, and remember, guys, if you want to hang out with Ryan and myself for just a wee longer, because now of your Irish background, I will incarnate the leprechaun in you. We will be hanging out on bit.ly/CoronaTV after show. Remember, guys, be yourself. And if that doesn't work, be Ryan Fey. You will get version. Exactly. And I leave you, of course, if you've watched the show, the immortal words of the grand doyen of Corona TV, who determines if the trapdoor opens and if the guest will plunge to their doom or if they will live to fight another day, Mr. Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
As if there was any doubt. I will see you guys tomorrow with Melanie Desiel, and we'll be hanging out in the Zoom After Show. Thank you, Faye.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for watching Corona TV with your host, multiple author and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. Corona TV is the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing. The after show on Zoom starts right now at bit.ly/Corona TV After Show. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show at CoronaTV.show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, text Corona TV to 66866 or visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.